And we're back here on SportsLine, switching gears now from the Stanley Cup playoffs to the NFL Draft. After the Preds play the Blues tomorrow night, all eyes go to Philadelphia. First time the NFL Draft will ever have been held there. On the steps in downtown Philly, Titans with the number 5 overall pick. They also pick 18th in the first round. Today, General Manager John Robinson didn't give away a lot of details of the Titans draft plan. You know, those are state secrets essentially. But he and Mike Mularkey sat in front of the media, answered questions today, and let's listen in on their talk about the Titans' plans going into the NFL Draft.
Good afternoon. Important part of our team building process here this weekend. Thank you everyone for coming out. I'd like to start by thanking our scouting department, Ryan Cowden, Blake Bedingfield, Brian Gardner going back to free agency. All of our scouts, there's been a lot of work that's been put into this draft class and finding out as much information about these players, determining their skill sets for us, and the coaches as well. Those guys really hit the road this spring and tried to spend as much time with these prospects as possible. A couple of roster notes before we get started and open up for question. We picked up Taylor Lewan's 5th-year option this morning, so excited to get that done. And then as a housekeeping note, Bennett Akacha is retiring from football, so that will go in today too to the league office. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Why wait this long to pick up Lewan's 5th-year option and moving forward with a long-term extension? Do you expect that to get done this offseason or perhaps next?
You know, I think we'll have some discussions about Taylor's situation. He did a really nice job for us last year. Obviously, had a Pro Bowl season. He's excited about the direction of this football team. Looking forward to continuing to work with him.
Is that would you call that an easy decision to pick up the option, or was there a lot of discussion about it?
No, I think it was a relatively easy situation, easy decision, I should say. He and I sat down this morning and talked for 20 minutes. He's excited about the style of football we're playing here, and he wants to be part of this organization for a long time.
John, you talked about hoping that need and best player available can intersect. If you can't get out of 5, is that possible in this draft?
Again, I think what we're trying to do is get the best football player that fits our football team. There's a lot that goes into the decision making about the player. We're not so concerned about who's got who ranked here or what rank there. We're looking for the player to fit what we want to be offensively and or defensively. If they have a role in the kicking game and come in and play at a winning level and help us win football games.
How much harder is the top of this draft to predict relative to the last couple of years when you had the obvious quarterbacks at the top?
Yeah, I think over the last week or so, the quarterback market has maybe heated up a little bit, at least from what I can see on the internet. I don't know how legit it is. But again, I think we're in a good position at 5 and 18 to get two good football players, and if we stay there.
Does that help you if the quarterback market really is heating up?
I would think so.
What's the trade market been like? Are the calls the same level they've been in years past?
Yeah, we've had a few calls. I think there's some that are just investigative, just trying to see if anything's going on around us, and then we've had a couple a little more serious in nature about potentially moving.
When you talk about those types of things, fielding calls, last year obviously you had the first pick and you were able to deal in a couple of weeks before the draft was here. Is this now more of just kind of having to see how the first few picks go before somebody would make a serious offer to get number 5, if that was the case?
Yeah, I think so, Terry. I think that that's they've got to wait for 4 players unless they've got those 4 pegs or those 4 spots pegged on which players are going to go there. It would really more probably manifest itself a little closer to draft night.
If you moved roughly the distance back that you moved up last year, is the value the same, or can the value change based on how badly somebody wants to come up. Might you take the last, might you have to take the last to make the same?
No, I think that's a great point. I think it's depending upon how urgent the team that's willing to move up wants to go get the player. I think that sometimes determines what you can get out of the trade.
Is there a sliding scale there for you, or is it a hard? I mean, I know what the starting point is. Can at any point be more of a moving target?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's some of the discussions that we have, that we go back and forth with, the team that we might move with, what it might take to eventually come to a decision. Again, it's probably not going to happen on the first phone call where you're just going to agree and get a deal done. There'll be a little bit of a back and forth, I would imagine.
Do you need a second rounder to move out of the 5 spot?
We'll see. There's a lot of ways to acquire draft currency, whether that's future picks next year, whether that's multiple picks this year. I think there's different ways of accumulating value for the picks that you would be acquiring to move back.
How does the draft match up with maybe what your needs are as far as the strengths go?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's good football players at several positions in this draft. I think that a lot. There's the secondaries is pretty deep. I think the defensive side of the ball in general is pretty strong, and I think there's some players on the offensive side of the ball as well that can make plays.
I know you guys I don't think I could predict how you answer this question, but as far as the receiver goes, looking for big, looking for small, looking for a guy who can do a number of things. What's the key there when you're looking at the receiver position?
I think we've said it multiple times. There's really two things, and we've incorporated a third: get open, catch, and block. So that's what we're looking for.
Some good guys to pick from in this draft.
Yeah. I think there's some guys that potentially could fit that criteria.
Are there more guys or fewer guys with first-round grades on your board than the average?
Yeah, we don't really talk in terms of rounds. I know some teams do. We talk really more about value and role for the football team. I think there's certainly starting caliber players in this draft in the first round, whatever number that equates to, whether it's 32 or 21 or 17. I don't really have a hard number there for that.
Do you set tiers of talent, or how is it that you do approach that? I mean, is it just a list of guys run through, however, or do you have like an A group, a B group? How do you set that?
Yeah, not to totally unveil our scouting system here, but and we talk about roles for the players. Are they starting level players? Are they role players? Are they backup players? And then kind of stack those guys accordingly to where they fall into those roles, if you will.
Does anybody want to take it off your board for off the field issues?
Yeah, I mean, we vet every situation, whether it's injury or whatever, and then just kind of make the decision accordingly. But as far as for removing a tag from the board, those generally just kind of stay up there.
And this is for Mike and John. How much is it for you guys in year 2, knowing exactly what you're looking for, the type of player you're looking for, the mentality you're looking for?
I think we know. The process has been really good. Again, we started it last year. John and I, we meet daily, typically early, and go through a lot of the scenarios that can possibly happen. Obviously, starting on Thursday, but we kind of know the routine now. We know what we're both thinking in regards to how we want to approach it, and obviously we know how we think a little bit more this year than we did last year, and it's made it go very smooth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think just the newness of me and learning me and me learning certainly Mike and the other coaches as well, and I think it's been because they've gone through the process once before. There's certainly a familiarity there with what we're expecting.
Mike, how much more, if any, are coaches now involved in the pre-draft process than maybe when you started, and how helpful is it, I guess, to have your say?
Well, I think just about every team I've been involved with has been different. Here, we're much more involved. I think they appreciate that John includes all the information, all the interviews they do, all the personal time they spend with the players. the private workouts. Obviously, it all comes down into one grade, and it's valuable. It all counts. It's really important what the coaches do here, and you know, we travel probably more than I've been around, but I can say this, and including myself, I'm much more informed about these players than I have been in other places I've been, whether it's been a position coach or coordinator or head coach. We are trying to do our due diligence on all these guys, and fortunately we're much further ahead with our schemes than we were last year when we were all just coming together, you know, both offensively and defensively. So it was much more accommodating to get out this year and spend the time that we did than it was last year. So we traveled more this year.